As a public defender, Judge Karen fought for her client's rights. She was elected to the bench because she believes in doing the right thing.
I'm very passionate about helping people, period. Sometimes life pulls you from up here to down here to teach you a lesson. And you're in a valley right now. And there are lessons in this valley. I hope you learn from them.
Objective, independent justice.
You can always turn your life around. If you keep walking, you can overcome whatever circumstances you're facing.
This is Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. Personal trainer LaQuisha Taylor is suing Sharice Johnson in the amount of $1,992. Ms. Taylor claims Ms. Johnson hired her to get in shape, but quit after a few sessions and never paid her anything.
You are suing Ms. Johnson for $1,992, and this represents the fees for personal training.
Yes, that is correct. I agreed to train her for 24 sessions, and yes, that is correct.
Oh, okay. And so how did you meet the plaintiff, ma'am?
I met Miss Taylor through a mutual friend. She had a previous hairstylist who moved away, and so she referred me for a new client, which was Miss Taylor.
So you do hair?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you were doing her hair?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Yes. And so how did you come to have this discussion about personal training?
Well, around the fourth time that she came into my shop, we were kind of like familiar with each other, like kind of friends, and she brought up how she was a personal trainer, and I told her how I was looking to get back into shape, you know, because I just wanted to look good and feel good. And so I thought, hey, why don't you become my trainer?
Okay, so how much do you charge for personal training?
I charge $80 per session, and that session is always 1 hour.
Now, had you been working out before? Have you ever done that, work with a trainer?
I never with a trainer. I haven't worked out in about 3 years, so I was trying to get back into it.
Okay, but you never worked with a personal trainer
Never
before?
with a personal trainer.
Okay, so we had an agreement then that you're going to train her.
Yes.
And she's going to pay you, how much was she going to pay you?
Well, she agreed to pay for the full 24 sessions plus the late fee. Okay,
so what happened the first time you went there?
The first time we went was right after we agreed to this deal. And so I met up with her at the gym, and she told me that she was going to be very strict, which is what I needed, because I tend to not fully commit to things.
So what does that mean that you're strict?
So I have a background, my family they were in the military, so I have a military background, and that kind of is incorporated in my personality. I'm like a drill sergeant. And I feel like I was pretty easy on her.
Okay, so what were you having her do the first time she came?
So the first time she came, we started off with some stretches, and then I had her do like some squats to start off. She did about 2 squats.
Just regular squats?
Your Honor, if I may, I did tell her before that I do have a hip injury, or I have very weak hips. So
you told her you couldn't do squats?
Well, not that I couldn't do squats, it's that I need like modifications.
So did you offer her some modified squat exercise?
So usually when I train people, I have them start off with like the dumbbells that weigh about 5 pounds, but I trained her without the dumbbells, and then...
you just told her to do squats without any weights? That was the modification?
Yes, that was the modification, to not do any to not use any weights.
So how many of those did you do?
I did about 2 reps of those because my hip started hurting.
So when she told you her hip was hurting, then what happened?
She told me that she had hip issues. She didn't say in that moment that her hips was hurting. And I told her, you know, like, that's just an excuse. You need to keep going. Like,
what did she have you do anything that you thought you could not do the first time?
Besides the squats and other like type of lower region exercises, no. But I also did not feel emotionally comfortable with her because she didn't make me feel like I was adequate enough. She kept saying that I was lazy, that I was complaining.
Did you tell her she was lazy?
That is part of my motivation technique. I mean, it usually works, but she was just
I don't know
so
who that
stubborn.
works with. I'm paying you money not to tell me that I'm lazy.
because I'm paying you money, and I've been to many trainers, and I could not imagine somebody saying that to me.
Well, I warned her that I was going to be like a drill sergeant, and usually my techniques work. I have testimonial with like other clients.
You got somebody out here to come in here, these testimonials?
I have not brought a witness today.
I didn't think so. Okay. So she told you were lazy. What else did she say?
She just, like, she wouldn't encourage me at all. Like, you know how, like, you can do it, keep pushing. It was more like, quit being a quitter. Good trainers do that. They don't say, you know, you're lazy, no good. I mean, who does that? Who needs to be battered and abused by somebody they're paying $80 an hour?
I mean, that's just how I train.
Look where you are now.
Coming up on Supreme Justice.
Why did you call her and tell her you was done? You were done. You weren't coming back.
Honestly, since I didn't really feel comfortable with her, I decided.
She doesn't seem like Miss Personality.
And later.
During the time you were investigating, you were in the garden and you broke the statute here.
Well, I was hired as an agent to my client.
Right. You think that an agent acting on her behalf gives you the right to break stuff?
Supreme Justice is back with the case of LaQuisha Taylor, who is suing Cherise Johnson for breach of contract.
Okay, so what happened? So you go home.
So after the first night, I was, of course, sore, but at first I was like, you know, that's normal. It's what you do after you work out. Second time, a little bit of the same. The third day.
So oh, you mean your pain?
Yes, the third day is when I had, it was when I got the pain.
So did you go back to her a second time?
I did go back to her a second time after
and then what happened?
After the second time, it was pretty much the same, but I still had a lot of pain, but I was still pushing through it because I, like, you know, I haven't worked out in a while, so I thought, you know, it's part of the process. But the third day, that's when I got injured.
How did you injure yourself?
It was the same, my hip. So I woke up the next morning with a bruise.
Was she having you still do exercises with your hips?
Yes, more. Do you know the double leg lifts?
You mean when you're laying on the floor, you have to lift your butt up and your legs at the same time?
And then put it down.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, yes.
She had you doing that?
Yes.
Okay, how many of those did you do?
Not many.
Okay.
But again, it was more keep going, keep pushing, stop whining, quit complaining.
So you didn't want to go to, you didn't want to do this anymore. You were done after session 3.
Yes. Well, after session 3, since I was injured, I had to call off work. So clients that I've had planned for months in advance, I had to cancel on them for 2 days. So I missed our 4th and 5th session.
Why did you call her and tell her you was done? You were done. You weren't coming back.
Honestly, since I didn't really feel comfortable with her, I decided.
She doesn't seem like Miss Personality.
Definitely.
Okay.
And by the 6th day, I did want to call her up and, you know, kind of apologize and be like, maybe we can work something out, like reschedule the 2 sessions I missed. But then she decided to come into my place of work and cause a scene.
What did you do at her place of work?
So after she wasn't showing up for the sessions, I decided, like, she's not calling me. I can't get in contact with her. I go to her shop. I try to ask her if she can come to the side with me so that we can talk about her not coming to, like, the last couple of sessions.
And what happened?
She didn't want to go to the side, so I
was working on a client.
You were doing somebody's hair at the time, and she wanted you to stop doing hair and come over and talk?
Yes.
So what did you do?
So I just, you know, I started explaining to her, like, basically you didn't show up to the last couple of sessions, and, like, I was waiting for her explanation. She said that because she had did my hair, that should cover the sessions that she did, and that she didn't want to work with me anymore.
That wasn't an agreement, though. If I give you a weave.
It wasn't an initial agreement to be like, I'm going to do your hair to pay for the sessions.
You just did it because you wanted to do it.
Well, yes, because it was a token of gratitude.
So you gave her a free weave.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't then turn around and say, okay, well, now that was in exchange for something.
But at the same time, I was also injured. So I felt that me giving you a $450 hair installment on top of me being injured and not feeling completely comfortable in your service.
Did you have an agreement?
We had an agreement.
Let me see your agreement.
Here's the agreement right here.
This is it?
Yes.
Don't you have an agreement that you would have waivers and everything for folks to sign in case they get injured so they don't end up suing you directly? You don't have any of that going on?
So usually, yes, like I do have like written agreements, but I didn't have any on me at the time that like if I didn't get her to sign it now, that she would back out of it. Right. So I just wrote up what was on the top of my head. You signed
this contract basically saying even if I quit or whatever, no matter what, I'm going to pay you.
Well, I thought that she can get me in the shape that I wanted to be.
You don't know how you're going to get along with anybody.
That is
you don't
true.
know if you're going to like a doctor that you're going to see. You don't know if you're going to like a therapist that you're going to go see. You don't just get, you know, say, I'm going to pay you no matter what. That's how come I've had so many trainers.
Yes, which is why I decided not to countersue her and thought that the hair would be enough.
Yeah, but the hair wasn't $1,900.
No.
Well, what did you learn from this? Because I hope you learned something from this. Tell me what you learned. Number one.
Do my research on trainers.
Okay, number two.
Sign a real contract, not a paper one.
All right, and number three.
Read over the contract.
Don't agree to pay anybody up front for a series of services or treatments until you've tried them out. Because you're going to pay the $1,920 because you signed an agreement. And you also agreed to say they pay for late fees or missed sessions, that penalty. I'm not going to do that. I'm not giving you that because she told you I'm not coming back. So you could have made other plans, put other people in place. My question was, did you ever replace her with anybody else?
No, and that's why I'm very upset. That's why when I went to her shop, I was upset because I set those slots up for her specifically, and it's very hard to find new clients.
Right. So how many clients do you have?
Right now, I have none.
None. No, not surprised. Not surprised at all.
Yeah, me neither.
All right. I'm ready to rule judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,920. Good luck to you both.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,920.
I hope there's no hard feelings, but I'll be expecting my money.
The only hard feelings I have are my pain, and I will not be returning.
Coming up.
Had you ever seen this lady in the 30 days that you had been following him around?
One of the times they met for lunch, you know, he was very good at covering up his tracks.
Right. Well, you would have to have tracks to cover.
Dale Ripper is suing private investigator Harvey Stubbs in the amount of $7,000. Mr. Ripper claims Mr. Stubbs broke a valuable statue while spying on him and owes him for the damage.
All right, Mr. Ripper, you're suing Mr. Stubbs for $7,000 representing a broken statue?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and you, sir, I read your pleadings, are a private investigator?
That's right.
Okay, and how long have you been a private investigator?
About 10 years, Your Honor.
10 years. And were you investigating the plaintiff?
That's correct.
Okay, who hired you?
Alicia Ripper.
Okay, is she your wife?
Ex-wife. No,
She's your ex-wife. Why would your ex-wife hire a private investigator?
She was under the suspicion that I was cheating, having an affair.
So were you cheating?
I wasn't.
You were never cheated on your wife? You were always
never
faithful?
Never cheated on my wife.
Okay, so tell me how it was. You ended up on his property.
That's correct.
Okay, tell me how that all happened. What was going on at that time?
Absolutely. So I had one of my friends, Janice, one of my coworkers, who's been working with me at the firm. I've known her for about 3-4 years or so.
Right.
I was reviewing some plans for another project that I was working on, and she's worked with me on a number of occasions. So I invited her to my house to look over some of the details.
Where was your wife at the time?
My wife was on vacation. She was gone for the week.
So did you ever invite women over to the house before when your wife was not home?
Correct.
Okay. So you were following, investigating him at that time, is that right?
That's true.
So how long were you investigating him?
I'd say about a month.
Where were you when the friend came over?
I was in my car at that point.
Okay.
When she arrived, I was in my car outside.
Right. Had you ever seen this lady in the 30 days that you had been following him around?
One of the times they met for lunch.
You ever saw anything intimate?
They have not been intimate. You know, he was very good at covering up his tracks.
Right. Well, you would have to have tracks to cover.
Coming up.
I was an agent acting on her behalf.
Right. You think that an agent acting on her behalf gives you the right to break stuff?
Supreme Justice is back with the case of Dale Ripper, who is suing Harvey Stubbs for property damage.
So what indication was there that he was not being faithful to his wife?
Well, most of the lunches that he went on with his coworkers, most of them were very beautiful women.
Right.
Not a lot of men.
Well, he can't help it if they're beautiful.
I've had male
Well, you can't help it if they were a bunch of ugly women, would have made it all right. He can't help it if they're beautiful women. What else?
Well, we didn't uncover much.
Right.
Just that he was with women.
Just that he was having lunch with women, but no hugs, kisses, squeezes, and anything like that.
I have proof.
What proof do you have?
Well, I have
Show
pictures.
me proof.
I have pictures.
Let me see some pictures. This picture that you did hand me here, this is your proof picture?
Yes, they were kissing, Your Honor.
Oh. No, her face is too far away from his, her head is too far from his head to be a kiss. And actually, you don't know what they were doing here. You have no idea. Maybe they were kissing. Maybe he was getting something out of her eye, right? So, during the time you were investigating, you were in the garden and you broke the statute here. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay, and why don't you think that you're responsible for the $7,000 that cost?
Well, I was hired as an agent to my client,
right.
Alicia.
So you're saying you weren't trespassing?
Judge Karen's verdict when Supreme Justice returns.
It doesn't matter whether even if you were invited guest. If you were invited guest to the house, you think that if you were clumsing around in the garden and broke a statute, you don't roll for it because you were invited there?
No, it's under contract.
What's under contract?
That I was an agent acting on her behalf.
Right. You think that an agent acting on her behalf gives you the right to break stuff?
Well, it's under contract that any expenses that happen, that, you know, accidental or otherwise.
Right, that she would be responsible?
Be responsible.
Okay, well then you should have brought her in as a party. Because as far as this court is concerned, whether you were trespassing or whether you were invited, that you were the direct cause, because you were sneaking behind here trying to capture this, and you broke a $7,000 statute. So I'm ready to roll. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $7,000. Good luck to you.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $7,000.
You got what you deserved. Okay, you had no business sneaking around my property like that.
I guess I will have to take that up with your ex-wife.